So today we're going to do another when Theta becomes Bitcoin part 2 because I did a video on this on when Theta is more valuable than Bitcoin. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you check out that video because it's gold. So this video really is kind of like a conspiracy video of how I think Theta is really Bitcoin back in 2009. But the only thing is, I really don't think that Theta will replace Bitcoin, but it really has the same potential is what I'm thinking. So in the last video that I did, when Theta is more valuable than Bitcoin, funny how I name things, I go through the calculations and I really discovered that my calculations weren't exactly quite right. So this video is here to fix that and to really walk you through why I think a Guardian node will be worth more than 100 million in the future. But like I said, this is all just very speculative calculations. Use it as a gauge, but not for something that is real. That's not to say that it might not become real because this is crypto. Anything could happen. So if you are a Theta fan, then please make sure to check out the swag down below because I made them Theta swag. Other than that, please be sure to smash that like button and smash that subscribe button before we jump into today's video. So like I said earlier in the last video when I said that Theta is more valuable than Bitcoin, I made some calculation mistakes, which is really embarrassing. So I'm going to say that I was drunk when making that video. That's why I made those mistakes. I don't want to admit that my calculation mistakes were wrong because I'm Asian. We got a stereotype to upkeep. And if I admit that my math was off because my math sucks, I would probably be disowned, and we don't want that to happen. In my culture, it is better to admit that you were drunk than to admit that you suck at math. And if you're an Asian brother and sister, please smash that subscribe button if you agree with that statement. But all that aside, like I mentioned in the last video, Theta has a max supply of about 1 billion tokens. And I referenced this before, but when it comes to Theta network, they have a billion tokens, like I said, but 30% of that total token supply was for a private sale, which means that we really have 30% of those tokens, of those Theta tokens, circulating in the public market. So as we all know, by doing math correctly, 30% of a billion Theta tokens makes for 300 million Theta tokens that are circulating, that are held by people like you and I. Now, right now, I believe that the important thing for Theta holders is trying to get a Guardian node. And to get a Guardian node, one of the requirements is to have 1,000 Theta tokens. With 300 million Theta tokens divided by 1,000, that means that at most, there can only really ever be 300,000 Theta Guardian nodes being held by the public. And what I think is that is not actually going to be true because definitely companies will be buying into the public market. They will be buying the Theta tokens off the public market to keep in their own treasury, their own reserve. So it's not that 300,000 Theta Guardian nodes is going to be available. That's the theoretical limit. But probably fewer than that is going to be in existence because we have smarter companies, smarter corporations like Google and Samsung that are buying up the supply. Now, to first get to the crazy number, the crazy valuation that I have for our Guardian node, we first have to take a look at the Bitcoin example. So the Winklevosses really believe that Bitcoin is going to reach $1 million per coin one day. That means that one BTC is going to be equal $1 million. Now, we all know that the max supply of Bitcoin is going to be capped at 21 million supply. And we know that we can say that about 3 million of those Bitcoins are lost forever because when Bitcoin first came out, it wasn't worth much. It wasn't worth what it was worth now, and people mismanaged it. They lost the hard drives containing their Bitcoin. So we could say that about 3 million is lost. So really, there's only really going to ever be 18 million Bitcoins really circulating around. So we're going to use that number, keep 18 million and 21 million in our heads for our calculations. So right now, the market capitalization of gold is around 11.41 trillion. That basically means that all the value, all the gold in the world is worth $11.4 trillion. Now, if you took that 11.4 trillion and divided that by the 18 million Bitcoins that we think is going to ever be circulating in the market, we're going to come up with $633,333 per Bitcoin. So that is not that bad, right? So now let's take at the money supply. So there's M1 and M2. Basically, here are the definitions for M1 and M2. You can pause and read this if you want, but basically they really track the amount of money that is floating around in the world, right? So the last time that they updated this was in July. They actually stopped tracking this just because the government printed so much money and they don't want people to track how bad the financial situation is in the States. So the last time they updated this, the M2 money supply was $18.316 trillion. So if we took $18.316 trillion and divide that by the 18 million circulating supply of Bitcoin, then we get this number. So that's the decimal approximation. If we click into that, it'd say that it's about a little bit more than $1 million. So $1,017,555 to be exact. So that's how you get your $1 million valuation for BTC. Now, I wanted to go over here in Wikipedia for the billionaire. They say that as of 2018, actually, I think they have a graph here. As of 2020, the combined wealth of known billionaires is $10.2 trillion. Now, that is surprising, but wait for it. If we look at the combined wealth of millionaires, the total net worth of all millionaires stood at US $158.261 trillion at the middle of 2021. Now, they also say that of those millionaires, 56 million people worldwide have assets exceeding $1 million USD. Now, 40% of them lived in the United States. So if we took 40%, we could basically see that $63 trillion and $304 billion pretty much exists in the US. So if all those millionaires in the US decided to take 63 trillion and the government is devaluing the dollar, they're losing their wealth, then they put all of that into Bitcoin, over 21 million Bitcoins. We're gonna use 21 million instead of 18 million. What's that number gonna be? That's going to value Bitcoin at $3 million per Bitcoin. So here's where I want to bring it full circle with the Theta Guardian nodes. We know that there's going to be at most, let's say 300,000 Guardian nodes. Probably even less because we know that there's going to be companies like Google and Samsung that's going to be snapping up Theta token supply. So not everybody is going to get that 1,000. So if we take the number 63 trillion, go on Wolfram Alpha, do 63 trillion, divide that by 300,000 Guardian nodes, what kind of number do you get? That'll make for, drumroll, $210 million per Guardian node. So here's that calculation, 63 trillion divided by 300,000 makes for $210 million. But you know, that's kind of crazy. So we're gonna use the number $15.826 trillion. So where did I get that number from? That is if 10% of all millionaires in the world decided, hey, I wanted to get a Guardian node. That would make their net worth $15.826 trillion. If we divide that by 300,000, the number that we get is about $52.753 million. So if we click into that, you get $52 million basically. Look guys, I really tried to make this a less exhilarating video than the last video, but this is just how the math works out. Like when I saw $210 million, I'm like, this is too crazy. Let's just use 10% of all the net worth of all the millionaires in the world. And we still came out with 52 million. I'm trying to do something that is more realistic, but this seems to be the most realistic number. But remember, this is all completely speculative. We know that 300,000 Guardian nodes will probably not be a thing with companies being interested. They will be interested in buying Theta tokens themselves and running nodes themselves. Or we have enterprise validators that really just don't want that many Guardian nodes to be out there. And we all know that not all millionaires are going to be interested in buying Theta because they won't know anything about it. If they don't know anything about it, they won't buy it. But I'm just sharing the potential that I see with Theta. A lot of the numbers I use is basically kind of what I see as the upper limit of where we can go. Now, for all of y'all who have been having some tough troubles because Theta has been on a slump lately with all the market falling, I hope this video gives you some vision, because when it comes to crypto, vision is what we need at the direst times. And the other thing we need is just that little news of excitement whenever we are in a down market like we are in right now. It is like those times when it is tough to get a hard on and your wife is complaining about you being less of a man because you can't get hard for you. She starts thinking that she isn't pretty enough anymore or that you're not interested, when just a matter of fact, you are just not into it because the market is down. You've been seeing red candles the entire day. You want someone to know that you can't get a hard on because you're just just seeing a red candle and your portfolio is down, Theta is down, and you're feeling a little bit glum. If that is an issue for you, then it might be a great idea to smash the like button and the subscribe button and save this video just in case those time comes again, and those times will come, where you see a big red market and she's in heat and you can't get into the mood. Because I'll be frank with you guys, it really isn't a stork, a bird that delivers babies. It's Donald and his YouTube videos. So make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. When she's in the mood and you're not in the mood and you want to get into the mood, then always remember there's this Asian guy called Donald on YouTube that really can help you get into the mood. Like, no joke, man. There are times when I have trouble putting the keys in the hole as well because it's dark, you can't see anything, and you fumble around with tools. I have these little stumpy fingers, so they don't help either. But anyways, aside from that, I'm just gonna close with this. If you were able to buy YouTube when YouTube came out, which you couldn't have, because 1 year after they were in operation, Google decides to buy them for $1 billion. And similarly, history repeats itself because Google has already bought into Theta. They have enterprise nodes running with Theta. But let's say if you had been able to buy into YouTube, would you do it knowing where YouTube is now? That's of course going to be a yes. It's a no-brainer. And now we're seeing the same chance with Theta. Google is already bought in, and we can still buy in right now before all the institutions, all the corporations really see Theta for what it is. Of course, I am not a financial advisor like I say in every single one of my videos, so make sure you do your own research, do your own due diligence before investing in Theta or any other crypto for that matter. So make sure you do your research. Other than that, that's really all I got for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please help me by smashing the like button, smashing the subscribe button, checking out these other videos on cryptocurrencies and passive income. And remember guys, stay humble, stay patient, stay focused, and stay disciplined. I'll see you next time.